Here we are, London, Gatwick, South Terminal. Here we go, we're gonna go through customs. And it's morning, afternoon. We had an hour and a half delay because of the weather in St. Louis. But we're here, yay. You have anything to say?
No.
Oh my God, where's your beard?
No.
Okay, we'll talk to you later. Gatwick Airport. We're just about to get on the train. Just gonna put together the pack. You guys go. And at the Normandy landing.
Yeah, we missed this one here. That's Tower of London there. Ta-da! Oh,
Hi.
and there's Angie out of focus.
We're here too.
And that's. Tell us about that ship again.
Okay, that ship was like very strategic in the sinking of the German battle cruiser at the end of the war, and also in the Normandy battle to help win the war.
And that's the Tower Bridge,
It's
but we
been
don't know
there
anything
since
about it.
1971.
But we're headed that way.
Hi, I'm eating a power bar. It's our lunch.
Show us the bar.
Watch. What am I eating? We're at the British Museum. Here it is. It looks good.
Yeah, maybe we'll show you that too.
We got to see the Rosetta Stone and stuff. And they have a lot of Egyptian stuff more than British. I don't know why it's called the British Museum. Maybe because it's here. And it should be called the England Museum. London Museum, although there's another museum for that. Maybe they have more British stuff there. Maybe we should go there. At the Roman Empire fall. you film the outside too? Or you just film the... Hi. It's not on.
Yeah, it is.
The light's not on.
I turned the light off.
Pretty sneaky. Here we are. This is, I don't know what cathedrals these are. That might be the Westminster Abbey. This is the Westminster.
Let's see, what time is it? It's really windy.
Yeah. Where's your beard?
I don't know.
Where are we?
We're in Hyde Park. But it's a big park, so it doesn't have very much of it. Kind of weird trees. Hey, weirdo.
That's really weird. Like, who's on there?
To the Eye of London.
They have the whole fair, that big Ferris wheel.
It's close, and the Millennium Dome is quite close.
It's where the taxes are spent. The taxes are spent. Well, you could use of the money.
Stay with our vacation theme of weird trees.
That's so cool.
What time is it? 4 o'clock.
Whoa! Where are we going? Where are we going? Where have you taken us? You go down again. You go down this way.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know.
This is the same way we went last night.
I thought we went east. I think we went east. I think we went on the first one. I remember being done.
This is the same way we went last night. Because then we transferred to, we're taking the same transfer. So last night we went to Green Park to transfer. Because then the blue one takes us to our hotel.
I thought it was a light blue. Burn the dark blue.
Yeah, we didn't transfer in the green.
No.
Green Park though.
Thank you.
This train terminates at Stanmore.
The squeegee does nothing. Huge bag. Our backs are.
We're in Oxford.
Oxford.
Some sort of old prison here.
Either. get distracted.
So, we haven't told you yet, but this is Oxford from the bell tower in Oriel College. Let's see if we can get to the fourth side. Yep, here's the fourth side. So Oxford University is actually a group of 39 colleges. Something that we didn't know before we came here. This is just the bell tower of one of them, the taller bell tower, or the tallest one that you can go on at least, or something like that. So anyway, maybe we'll show you more later. Well, it'll be right now, I guess, for you, but... Oh, here, one more thing, see this? I guess, gargoyle means throat. The water shoots out from there.
Really cool up here. Did you tell him where we are?
Yep. I also explained the colleges and the gargoyles.
Did you show him a gargoyle? There's one with water?
Yeah, I know, right there. Here's another one. This one kind of illustrates it. Maybe, well, you can't see the front of it, but part of the gutter.
Awesome. It's beautiful.
Did we show our other room?
No, we didn't.
Here's our probably more European looking room.
I have pictures of the other one. Hi. Did you show the view? Probably can't see it.
I opened the window. At least we get to see trees and some stuff.
It's a better view than the other one.
Yeah.
And you can open the window.
Yeah.
Dating from 1326, weighs over 1.5 tons.
This is awesome. I didn't get a tour of a big castle.
Nice and close, please. Children from Frau. And when she came through that door, Queen Anne Boleyn, he was that excited. He was that happy that he... Now, after the death of his father in 1685, this handsome, young, popular young man was persuaded to stake his own claim to the throne by virtue of his uncle, the then King James II. He landed in the west country of England, moving inland, gathering popular Protestant support, what we now know as the Monmouth Rebellion. Now, this revolt was crushed at the Battle of Sedgemoor on the 6th of July, 1685. But the leader, James Scott, the Duke, he escaped the battlefield before he was found hiding in a ditch or a trench 1 week later. Now, condemned to death in his absence, there was absolutely no need for a trial. He was brought down here to the Tower of London and taken up onto Tower Hill in front of, once again, 100,000 spectators. Everybody wanted to see this execution. Don't forget, this man was of royal blood. This turned out to be the bloodiest execution ever to be witnessed in English history. Let's talk about the executioner, a giant of a man called Jack Ketch, a part-time butcher by trade, a part-time executioner, but a full-time drunk. And on this day I suggest that Jack Ketch, the executioner, was more than certainly drunk. Now, having been escorted by yeoman warders, James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, was taken up onto Tower Hill in front of thousands of spectators. He actually climbed the stairs to the scaffold. It was draped once again in black cloth. There was straw to soak up the blood. He saw the executioner, Jack Ketch, and even said to him these words, "Please, sir, do thy work well this morning, because I cannot promise to lie still if you miss my small neck." He then placed his neck once again into a block of oak. And on a word or signal given, Jack Ketch, the executioner, drunk probably, brought up his axe, took aim, and brought the axe crushing down. Missed the neck, but split open the back and the collarbone here, and in his pain and anger, the Duke stood up and glared at the executioner, before once again facing downwards. The axe was to fall a second time, and a third time, yes, there would have been a gushing of blood. There would have been a crushing of bone. But still the head was not severed. The axe fell a fourth time, and a fifth time before the executioner gave up. The crowd weren't happy. They travelled great distances. They wanted to see the Duke's head come off with one blow. And in his blind panic, the executioner, fearing for his own life, had a plan. He sunk to his knees. He removed his trusty butcher's carving knife. He grabbed hold of the Duke's hair, and he completed the job by cutting through the final skin and bone and gristle and veins and blood. Head came off though, stuck on a spike, carried through the streets of London by a yeoman warder, taken to London Bridge, left there as the sign of the fate that awaited all would-be traitors. But there'd been a terrible mistake. This man was of royal blood. We didn't have a portrait or a painting. What I tell you now is absolutely true. The same yeoman warder who carried that head was sent back 6 hours later to retrieve it from London Bridge. They sent for the Tower doctor. He was ordered to sew the head back on again. They sat the Duke in a chair, they placed a black wig on him, they washed the face. In fact, they put whitening on it, and they placed a black wig on him and a scarf. And it took 24 hours to do this royal painting before both the head and the body, still attached, were buried in the Chapel Royal, where we will visit later on. I'll show you where it's buried at the end of this tour. The painting still exists. It hangs in the National Portrait Gallery. Whilst you're here in London, try and go and see it. But I must tell you this, most people see it, when they see it, actually say these words. Doesn't James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, doesn't he have a detached look about him? Let's go to Traitor's Gate. If we go underneath the arch, we will have a much better view of the Queen's house. But from here, I can show you a window with a balcony. See the black balcony? The infamous Traitor's Gate. Built during the reign of King Edward I, over 700 years ago. Originally, it was used as an entrance from the River Thames for the living of stores and provisions. Originally, it was called the Watergate, so we had it first. Later on, though, it had a much more sinister name, Queen Catherine Howard and the 16-year-old Lady Jane Grey, 16 years of age. And all three of them would be beheaded inside these very grounds. I'll show you where they are. The only one to survive begged for a garden tower because it overlooked the lieutenant's garden, its plants and its flowers. How sweet I say. That title was changed to the Tower of Blood, or the Bloody Tower, to remember all the murderous and bloody acts that have happened inside. Surely the most terrible tragedy of all was the murder of the two boy princes. Boy King Edward V, 12 years old, and his younger brother Richard, Duke of York, only 10 years of age, brought into the Tower of London by their uncle, the so-called Lord and Protector, Richard, Duke of Gloucester. Brought in not as prisoners, but to prepare for the eldest boy's coronation. But the sightings of these two small infants playing in the grounds in the Tower of London where we are now became less and less. This was 1483. In fact, they had been murdered in the middle of the night. The eldest boy was stabbed to death with a dagger, and the youngest was suffocated with a pillow. Their bodies were bundled down the stairs leading to the, which still exists today. See how narrow it is later on, leading to the base of the Wakefield Tower. And their little bodies were buried quickly underneath some loose stones. The very next morning they were moved by an unknown priest, buried in a secret plot on the south side of the White Tower. Now their bodies remained hidden, a mystery here in the tower, for 191 years, until the reign of King Charles II, when workmen were digging in that area. And to their delight and excitement, they found a chest. Treasure! We never have to work again. Imagine their horror and disgust and dismay when they wiped off the topsoil, they opened up the lid, and inside were the skeletal remains of two little infants stood in their nightgowns. Now, experts at the time, and there's still some debate today, they decided that these must be the bodies of the two missing princes, and on orders from the king, they were taken to Innocents' Corner, Westminster Abbey, where they lie to this day. But who was guilty? Nobody really knows. Was it the uncle, Richard? He had a lot to gain. He became king, King Richard III. A short while ago, I showed you the portcullis in the archway of the Bywood Tower. Good morning, don't stand directly underneath the bag and something in your eye. It's a tower. It's the largest and oldest of all 20 towers in the Tower of London. Just to remind you, it was built in the year 1078 under the orders of William the Conqueror, but under the direction of a man called Gundulf of Beck. He was the Bishop of Rochester, and it took 20 years to build. And you know what he used to build it? Forced labour. Londoners. Stands about 90 feet tall, with walls tapering in thickness from 15 feet at the base up to 11 feet at the top. On each corner you will see a turret. 3 are square, 1 is round. The round one on the far side was the site of the first Royal Observatory until moved to Greenwich in the 17th century. Also at the top of each turret you will see a gold crown. Now beneath that is a weather vane showing the royal standard. Now this tells us that the Tower of London is still very much a royal palace, but no longer a royal residence. But never lose sight of the fact that all of the kings and queens lived here, dating back more than 500 years. Royalty, in fact, lived on the top floor here with windows. On the floor below was accommodation for knights and their beautiful ladies, a banqueting hall, a council chamber, and a chapel, the Chapel of St. John the Evangelist. One more floor with windows was for servants and retainers, yet there was one more floor, in the basement, where the walls were 15 feet thick. Originally for stores and provisions, but later on, in my opinion, had a much more sinister and better use. 6. Oh no. Sorry, my football team got beat last night. Badly. Had a much more sinister use, because that's where the torture chambers were and the dungeons were located. Now, no one would hear your pitiful screams of agony when your arms and legs were being pulled out of their sockets, when you were being examined and stretched on the rack. But there again, nobody really cared. Access to the White Tower is only on the south side, up those wooden stairs. But remember what was found beneath your feet: a chest containing 2 small bodies. So don't wait on those stairs too long, go inside. See the exhibition, Armour for Kings. You can even see King Henry VIII's original armour suit. See the Doomsday Book, and also read and see about the history of the White Tower. Now I've just shown you 2 of the Tower Ravens, and they've gone. But my story would not be complete if I did not talk about them. Now the ravens have been here probably before the Tower of London was built. Remember, these were birds of death, carnivorous birds that used to peck at the flesh of the servants' heads. But they were also flying all the way around these turrets, and in the 1600s they were doing things into the telescopes of the Royal Observatory. And I don't mean pecking. And the king said, get rid of these birds. But his wise men and his advisors said, Your Majesty, have you not heard about the legend? And the legend is this, and it still exists today. It says that if these royal birds ever leave the Tower of London, the monarchy would fall. There'd be no more kings and queens. They also say that the Tower of London would crumble into dust. But more importantly, they say that I would be unemployed. Therefore, we have 6 ravens here by royal decree. In fact, just like any good soccer team, we have 7, a substitute just in case. And they live here in Raven's Corner. They sleep in those little boxes at night. The eldest one is 28 years of age. And if you want to know more about them, visit Raven's Corner. You can get a leaflet. Don't worry, it's free. You can read all about them. You can see what their names are, how to identify them, and which one talks. Now I've shown you where King can tour in 4 hours' time. Down this bloody road here, you'll see the entrance to the bloody tower. Remember what happened inside there? 2 boy princes murdered in the dead of the night. Also remember that Sir Walter Raleigh would spend 13 years of his life in the bloody tower before he was executed at Westminster in 1618. Now they say when he was executed in 1618, on that fateful day, he was the happiest man in London. No, the happiest man in England. I'll tell you why he was so happy. Because Sir Walter Raleigh spent 13 years of his life in one room with his wife. It must have been a nightmare for the poor man. It gives me nightmares. Moving further to the right, we can see the L-shaped Tudor building. It's known as the Queen's House. It's now the home of the resident governor of the Tower of London and his family. He's the Queen's representative, hence the Royal Guard stood outside his door. Now, being the home of such important officials, it is obvious that very important prisoners have been held there. 2 of the wives of King Henry VIII would spend their last days there. Queen Anne Boleyn, Queen Catherine Howard, they would spend their last days there before they would be executed, beheaded, one with a sword, one with an axe, right here on the private execution scaffold site on our village green, Tower Green. More about those executions in great detail once we enter the chapel. Other famous prisoners there, William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, heard of him, but also Rudolf Hess, the deputy leader of Nazi Germany. May 1941, only for 4 days, moved inland to a secret location and then onto the Nuremberg trials after the war and then onto Spandau prison where they say he committed suicide in 1987. The houses with the light blue doors either side of the Queen's house are now also accommodation for my Yeoman Warder colleagues and their families. Moving further to the right, we can see the state prison known as the Beauchamp Tower. Be sure to visit the Beauchamp Tower, use the spiral staircase, and I can guarantee that when you reach the first floor, you will be amazed by all the medieval graffiti that you will see on the walls, left there by prisoners who wanted to leave their mark. Some of them dating back more than 450 years. In fact, there's a Yeoman Warder on duty behind the arch window. Approach him, wake him up, ask him for one of the pamphlets, and it will describe each and every inscription, who carved the work and what happened to him. Was he released or was he hung, drawn and quartered? Find out. Moving further to the right, we have 2 buildings. As I said, we all live inside the grounds. 40 beefeaters, 40 wives and some children. In fact, there's 108 of us living in the grounds. And we need a doctor. And that's where he lives there, someone to take care for our medical needs, in that tall building. But if he can't help us, we're lucky, because we only have to go next door. That's where the Padre, the chaplain, lives. Here we have the Chapel Royal of St. Peter ad Vincula. We'll be going inside in just a moment, but I want to talk about that building there. It's called the Waterloo Clock. It's an impressive building built in the year 1845, and in the centre of that building, you'll see a large clock. Beneath that clock, as you can see probably, is the entrance for the crown jewels and regalia. Now, you can't come to England without visiting the Tower of London. And likewise, you can't come to the Tower of London without seeing the crown jewels. In fact, while you're here today, because there's not many people here, try them on. When you finish, put them back. My colleague will search you at the other end. We're going to go inside this royal chapel now. I must remind you that it is still very much a Christian place of worship. Gentlemen, please remove your headdress as we go inside the door, as I do. Please do not smoke, drink, eat or sleep, because I'll see you. Lastly, do not take any photographs, do not video or tape record. Because it's a royal chapel, we're just not allowed to do it. There's a small step as we go inside the door, no bigger than that. It's been there since the year 1519. But we here at the tower believe this small step to be haunted. It will try and trip you up, especially the ladies. Fear not, being an ex-infantry warrant officer, 22 years service, I will position myself tactically just inside the door, ready to catch you in my arms, willing, if you happen to fall my way. Gentlemen, if you should trip, lie there.
Made by cheese.
Dude, chill out. Yeah, we just saw all kinds of jewels and stuff, but we couldn't use the camera. Sorry.
Wow, look at where we are. We're in a castle. How beautiful that is. Just so detailed.
Nein.
So, yeah, kind of looks Asian.
It is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's almost like football cage. It's almost like football cage. They wouldn't be able to get that done.
And we'll see you later, Tom. We're gonna see you later. Don't be a stranger.
top of that thing.
Portcullis. This is a bloody tower.
Not more than it, it's not very weird.
Gonna be a sucky job right over there.
This is like the prison or something.
High-ranking prisoners.
Well, here's London. A whole bunch of it, at least.
Yay.
Sort of a downtown area over here. Haven't really been there much. We're on top of the cathedral. We're not supposed to use the camera inside, but no rules against using it outside. I'll show you another side. A little windy on this side. So downtown area again. There's the Times. Alright, here's one more thing you can see from this side. This is a Tower of London where we just were a little while ago. Down in there. There's the Tower Bridge. Okay, get our landmarks. See we got that. We walked along this here. We haven't gone to this. One thing we'd like to. There's the Globe Theater. Down the river. I don't know which one of these is London Bridge, but maybe we'll figure it out. There's the London Eye.
Last rows in the video camera.
In the film.
Took the last picture.
Well, no more normal film for today, but let's go down this way.
Beautiful day. Mind if we go to London Dungeon?
No, please.
Hi. Well, once again, we're at the ocean. Not once again on this trip, but once again on our trips. And this is the town of Brighton.
Right.
We thought we'd go to the place our town was named after.
Yeah, New Brighton.
This is the south coast of England.
Yeah, that way. That's Spain.
That's Spain down there.
France, go that way.
There's this really cool pier over here. It's really, really old. It's called West Pier. But I don't think it's used because it's really old. And then there's this other thing. This is the whole pier. It's like a missing a part right there. And then there's this other part right there. And there's lots of hotels, but everybody's gone because it's winter. That's why we came. Hi.
Hi.
It's definitely not as You're gonna lay down? Oh, it's on already. I must have hit it. Okay. Yeah, I must have hit it.
This is any indication of what to expect.
I'm gonna turn the TV off. There we go.
So we're about to go to bed. We're leaving. We're leaving London tomorrow, back for home, and we thought we would sum up.
He shaved his stuff off and it's crying back.
Except on one little place.
I tried to persuade him to shave it all off, but he didn't want to. That's okay. I won't hear from him. It's nice to have him off.
So we should talk about London.
Yeah. You can go ahead.
Well, what do we want to say?
You just tell him what we saw.
Well, we saw a whole bunch of stuff. The first day we got here in the afternoon, and we went and saw, what was it, the library,
Oh yeah, the British Library. 'Cause
British Library,
after we figured out how the underground worked. 'Cause that was-
and then at the British Library we saw the Magna Carta, and we saw some, like, music, like a draft of
Messiah.
Handel's Messiah, and some other sheets of, like,
Winnie the Pooh stuff.
Bach and Beethoven. Yeah, we saw some of the Pooh. We saw the original Alice in Wonderland. I don't know. I guess that was cool. And then the next day,
We saw the British Museum and the National Gallery.
yep, see? And that was also New Year's Eve.
They had really cool stuff. British Museum had a lot of Egyptian stuff. And the Rosetta Stone was there.
Yeah, we saw that. And we saw a bunch of stuff of Van Gogh and Picasso and Monet and Renoir. And
And then it was New Year's night.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve night.
And these old people from Belgium convinced us that the underground was going to shut down at 10 a.m. and we didn't want to have to walk back all the way from Big Ben or whatever.
So we went
So
back
we
to our
went back to
hotel.
our hotel and had some champagne and ice cream. Then we found out the next day that they didn't close the underground; they made it free, so we could have stayed. So that was kind of dumb.
Yeah. So don't listen to tourists that are older than you are.
From Belgium.
But New Year's Day was fun. We just walked around the parks because everything was closed. But there's some big parks, and we saw Buckingham Palace,
What are the parks? Hyde Park.
St. James Green Park, and St. James Park.
Yeah, Buckingham Palace is kind of between two of them.
Between Green Park and St. James.
And we met some people from South Africa that day. And what else did we do that day? Oh, we were going to go on the Eye of London,
Oh, the Ferris
the
wheel.
Ferris wheel thing. Except they were sold out for like 3 days. So we didn't do that.
Then we went to a movie. Saw Unbreakable.
Did we? No, that wasn't that night.
Isn't it what did we do that night?
No, I don't remember.
We didn't see a play, but we should have. So we'll do that. Hopefully next time we come.
Then the day after that, is that the day we went to Oxford?
No, Tuesday we went to Oxford. No, you said yeah.
The day after we went to Oxford, and we showed you a bunch of that already, but that was kind of cool. Learned about the colleges or whatever inside of Oxford University. And we ate where C.S. Lewis and
Tell him.
J.R.R. Tolkien used to hang out.
It's called The Eagle and the Child.
Yeah.
They like gnomes.
They called it, what did they call it? The Bird and Baby or something like that.
Well, abbreviated. But it was officially called The Eagle and the Child. So,
And that was fun. And the day after that, we did a lot of stuff.
we saw the Tower of London. So we had a lot of we had a busy day. It was the Tower of London. Then there was the St. Paul Cathedral, and we missed the changing of the guards. So maybe I'll do that next time. And then we saw Catachese, the London Dungeon, my idea, which I won't have done ideas again like that. But it was kind of interesting. Talked about like the bad part of the history, and then we saw the Westminster
Abbey.
Abbey, which was awesome.
Yeah, both the Abbey and the Cathedral were pretty cool. We learned a bunch of church history. And
That's about all we did.
yeah. And then today, we went to Brighton.
Saw some cool piers.
We wanted to go to the ocean, and it wound up being that we could go there and see the town our town might have been named after.
I don't know why, but
Yeah, not very similar.
yeah, it was still pretty cool.
There were big waves, and
We saw some.
yeah, we showed you that.
Yeah, but it was a good trip. We learned a lot
I keep yawning, I'm laying down.
because it's late.
We have to finish packing stuff, and
We did.
well, I'm gonna look at it a little more.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay, so you should come sometime. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. We'll tell you all about it.
Bye.
Bye.